December 20th, 1944, Bütgenbach, Belgium. A 21-year-old corporal crouches behind a 57mm anti-tank gun, working the breechlock with both hands. It will not move. The steel is jammed solid. 5 yards away, a German Panzer grinds through the fog, its turret hatch open, its commander standing in the cupola with a pistol drawn. Corporal Henry Warner lets go of the breech. He draws his sidearm, a .45 caliber pistol designed 33 years earlier, and fires. The tank commander fires back. Warner wins. This is the story of the M1911A1, the .45 caliber pistol that served the American military longer than any other firearm in history. Born because a smaller bullet could not stop a charging warrior. Proven in a trial where it fired 6,000 rounds without a single malfunction, and carried into a pistol duel against a 25-ton Panzer by a corporal from North Carolina who would not survive the week. But the .45 was not designed for heroism. It was designed for a very specific kind of failure, and that failure began in the Philippines. To understand why the M1911 existed, you have to understand what went wrong with the .38. In 1892, the United States Army replaced its proven .45 caliber Colt revolver, in service since 1873, with a lighter .38 caliber model. The new round was smaller, faster, and supposedly modern. In a barracks or on a firing range, it looked like progress. In the southern Philippines, it was a death sentence. During the Moro Rebellion, warriors prepared for suicide attacks by wrapping their bodies in tight cloth that worked like tourniquets to slow blood loss, then charged American positions with swords and blades. The .38 caliber rounds went through them, 6 rounds into a man's chest, and he kept coming. After-action reports described the same horror again and again, a warrior standing over a dead American soldier who had emptied his revolver without effect. General Leonard Wood sent a report up the chain of command that changed everything. The .45 caliber revolver, he wrote, stops a man in his tracks. The .38 does not. As a stopgap, Wood also requested 12-gauge shotguns loaded with buckshot. When a general is begging for shotguns, you know the sidearm has failed. The Army pulled old .45 caliber revolvers out of storage and shipped them to the Pacific. But what they really wanted was something new, a semi-automatic pistol in .45 caliber. And to write the specifications, they needed to answer a question nobody had answered scientifically. How big does a bullet need to be to stop a human being? They assigned 2 men, Captain John Thompson, the same man who later invented the Thompson submachine gun, and Major Louis Lagarde of the Army Medical Corps. Their method was shocking. At the Union stockyards in Chicago, they shot live cattle with 7 different calibers and timed how long the animals took to die. At hospitals in Philadelphia and New York, they suspended human cadavers from ropes and shot them, measuring how far the bodies swung on impact, using a dead man as a ballistic pendulum. The data was messy. The conclusions were not. A military pistol, Thompson and Lagarde wrote, should fire a bullet no smaller than .45 caliber. That single sentence set the requirement that shaped the next century of American sidearms. Now someone had to build a pistol around it. The man who answered was already the most prolific firearms designer who ever lived. John Moses Browning had built his first gun at 13, earned his first patent at 24, and by 1900 had designed the Winchester lever-action rifles, the Auto-5 shotgun, and the Colt machine gun. 128 firearms patents across his lifetime, a number no one has approached before or since. His work on a .45 caliber semi-automatic pistol would take 6 years of obsessive refinement. Browning's genius was mechanical empathy, an instinct for how metal wanted to move under stress. His breakthrough was the short recoil locked breech system. When the pistol fires, the barrel and slide recoil together for a fraction of an inch, locked tight by interlocking lugs. A swinging link pulls the barrel downward, unlocking it from the slide. The slide continues backward alone, extracting the spent case, cocking the hammer, then the recoil spring drives it forward again, stripping a fresh round from the magazine. The entire cycle takes a fraction of a second. It is the same operating principle used in virtually every modern pistol on Earth: the Glock, the Sig Sauer, the Beretta. Browning solved the fundamental problem of semi-automatic pistol design, and the solution has never been improved upon, only simplified. In 1909, he made the change that nearly killed the project. His earlier design used a 2-link barrel system with a dangerous flaw. The slide could blow backward off the pistol into the shooter's face. Browning scrapped it entirely and designed a single-link tilting barrel that eliminated the risk. When army officers told him to copy the steep grip angle of the German Luger, he compromised at 74 degrees, a number that felt natural in the hand and has not been changed in over a century. That was Browning. He listened to everyone, then trusted his own hands. The decisive trial came on March 15, 1911, at Springfield Armory. 2 pistols remained, the Colt Browning and the Savage, designed by Elbert Searle. The protocol was punishing. 6,000 rounds in 100-round series, the gun dunked in water when it overheated cleaned every 1,000 rounds. The Savage suffered 37 malfunctions. A broken bolt stop, a cracked breech plug, a shattered safety slide. By the 6,000 rounds, it was failing every 32 shots. The Colt fired all 6,000 rounds with 0 malfunctions. Not one. The inspection afterward found no defective parts of any kind. The board's report was blunt. The Colt was more reliable, more enduring, more accurate, and easier to repair. Adopted March 29, 1911. Price: $14.25. After World War I, 5 changes were made based on combat feedback. A shorter trigger, an arched mainspring housing, a longer grip safety spur, relief cuts behind the trigger, a wider front sight. No internal changes. The new designation, M1911A1, adopted May 1926. This was the pistol the Army would carry for the next 60 years, and when the Second World War came, they needed nearly 2 million of them. Colt alone could not build enough 45s for a global war. So the government handed Browning's blueprints to companies that had never made a firearm. Remington Rand, a typewriter manufacturer, converted a vacant plant in Syracuse, New York, and became the largest M1911A1 producer of the war. Nearly 878,000 pistols, almost double Colt's output, at the lowest per unit cost of any manufacturer. Their early guns had interchangeability problems so severe that production halted for 2 months. After the fix, they implemented a straight-line process that made them the most efficient in the program. A company that built typewriters was outproducing the original gunmaker. Then there was Singer, the sewing machine company. Singer received an educational order and delivered exactly 500 pistols before Pearl Harbor, each finished to extraordinary quality. The government cancelled their follow-on contract. The reason was almost absurd. Singer was too good at precision manufacturing to waste on pistols. Their skills were needed for artillery fire control instruments. Today, those 500 Singer 45s are the rarest production variant of the M1911. Fewer than a dozen survive in original condition. One sold at auction for over $414,000. A sewing machine company made the most valuable military pistol in American history. A lot of these stories don't get told anywhere else. Subscribing helps make sure we can keep telling them. Now, back to Belgium. In all, 5 manufacturers produced nearly 1,900,000 M1911A1s during the war. Every 57mm anti-tank gun crew received pistols as their personal weapons. It was all they could carry while operating the cannon. Which is how a red-haired corporal from Troy, North Carolina, ended up with a 45 on his hip on the worst morning of his life. Henry Fred Warner, known as Red for his hair, was 21 years old, 6 feet tall, 135 pounds. His father had been killed when Henry was 5. After high school, he worked as a machine operator at the Troy textile mill, then enlisted in January 1943. By December 1944, he was a 57mm gunner in the anti-tank company, 2nd Battalion, 26th Infantry Regiment, the Big Red One. His battalion had been in nearly continuous combat since D-Day, 182 days through Normandy, the Breakout, Aachen, and the Hürtgen Forest. By December, 90% of the infantry were green replacements. Only 7 officers remained from before the month began. On the morning of December 20th, roughly 20 German tanks from the 12th SS Panzer Division attacked through dense fog at Bütgenbach. Warner's sergeant sent most of the crew out with bazookas. Warner stayed at the gun. 2 armoured vehicles bore down on his position, firing cannon and machine guns. Warner put 4 rounds into the first and set it on fire. He placed 2 more into the second and silenced it. Then his breechlock jammed. The third vehicle was 5 yards away when Warner gave up on the breech. He jumped from the gun pit, drew his M1911A1, and found the tank commander standing in the open turret with a pistol of his own. Both men fired. Warner killed the commander. The tank reversed and withdrew. A 21-year-old textile worker with a .45 caliber pistol had just won a duel against a man standing in a Panzer. Warner held his position through another night of shelling and infantry attacks. The next morning, December 21st, a Mark IV tank appeared through the mist. Warner scored a direct hit with his cannon, setting its motor on fire, but the tank's machine guns got off a burst that hit him. Wounded, he tried to reload for another shot. A second burst killed him. He was one of 20 men who used an M1911 to earn the Medal of Honor in the Second World War. 12 of the 20 did not survive. The M1911-01 was not a precision instrument. Its fixed sights were crude. Its effective range was 50 yards at best, and in combat most pistol engagements happened at less than 10. The .45 ACP round was inherently subsonic, 830 feet per second against the German 9mm 1100, which meant it shed energy faster over distance. The magazine held 7 rounds plus 1 in the chamber, 8 shots. The German Walther held 8 in the magazine alone. In a firefight where every round matters, 1 round is not nothing, and the recoil was brutal. A 2.5-pound pistol throwing a 230-grain slug hit the hand like a mule kick. It intimidated smaller-handed shooters and made rapid, accurate fire difficult for anyone who had not trained extensively. A 1943 Marine Corps report from the Pacific was honest about it. The pistol held up very well, they wrote, but was used very little. That honesty is the .45's answer. It was never meant to be a primary weapon. It was the weapon you reached for when the primary weapon failed. When the rifle was empty, the cannon was jammed, the enemy was at arm's length. Its limitations were the price of the one thing it did better than any pistol in the world: stop a man immediately at close range. At Dom Bütgenbach, close range meant 5 yards and 1 trigger pull. The M1911 served as the standard American military sidearm from 1911 to 1985, 74 years. No new production pistols were ordered after 1945. Every .45 carried in Korea, Vietnam, Grenada and Panama was a World War II gun, rebuilt and refurbished at government arsenals. When the Beretta M9 replaced it in 1985, the backlash was immediate and has never fully faded. The .45 refused to stay retired. Marine Force Reconnaissance kept modified 1911s as the M45 pistol from 1986. MARSOC adopted the Colton .45, a 1 close-quarter battle pistol, in 2012, the first new military-issue Colt 1911 since the last factory shipment in 1945, a 67-year gap. The final M45A1s were officially retired from Marine Corps service in October 2022. Total military service life: over 111 years. No other American firearm comes close. Browning's deeper legacy is invisible. His short recoil, tilting barrel system, the mechanism he perfected for the 1911 trials, is the operating principle of virtually every modern semi-automatic pistol manufactured today. The Glock, the Sig Sauer P320, now the Army's M17, the Smith & Wesson M&P, the Beretta that replaced the .45, all of them trace their mechanical DNA back to a workshop in Ogden, Utah, and a man who built his first gun at 13. The state of Utah declared the M1911 its official state firearm in 2011. Of 20 World War II Medal of Honor recipients who used an M1911 in their cited actions, 12 were killed. Barrett Tillman, who compiled the statistic, documented at least 55 Medals of Honor across 75 years awarded to men carrying the .45 ACP. The number captures a truth Browning's generation understood without saying. The situations that demand a pistol in war are, by definition, the situations most likely to kill you. Sergeant Thomas Baker on Saipan asked to be propped against a tree with a loaded .45 and 8 rounds. When they found his body, the pistol was empty. 8 Japanese soldiers lay dead in front of him. Henry Warner lies in Southside Cemetery in Troy, North Carolina. His gravestone reads, "Greater love hath no man than he that layeth down his life for a friend." The Army named a base in Bamberg, Germany after him, Warner Barracks, and it carried his name for 64 years until it closed in 2014. Whether his specific M1911A1 survives is unknown. No one thought to track it. 5 yards, a jammed cannon and a .45 caliber pistol. Warner stood up, and Browning's gun did what it was built to do, the M1911A1. 74 years of service, nearly 2 million made, 111 years in uniform. 8 rounds were enough. Do you think the army made the right call switching to the 9mm in 1985, or should they have kept the 45? If you carried a sidearm in uniform, did you trust it with your life? Tell us in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe.